Hi Patreon subscribers, this is The Wounded Womb, Mind of Lilith, and welcome to the first episode of Incision, a space where we can deeply analyze the thoughts, attitudes, and behaviors of men and women relative to interpersonal relationships, education, politics, culture, and spirituality. The subcategory for today is relationships. So today I'm going to discuss Arionne Curry, who I believe is a cautionary tale for mistresses of married or committed men. I'm going to focus on the perspective of husbands cheating on their wives because I'm a woman and I have a better grasp of what's going on from that perspective. But this is also applicable. The points that I make in this commentary are also applicable to married women. So I'm elaborating on this topic because a lot of women are confused about why men cheat and why they cheat with specific types of women. To get the audience up to speed, Arionne Curry was the mistress of Martel Holt for half of his marriage, about 5 to 6 years. She ultimately got pregnant a few months after Martel had his fourth child with his wife Melody. Melody Holt filed for divorce in 2020 because Martel had no intention of leaving his mistress alone, and Martel ended up getting Arionne and his wife pregnant at the same time. Martel and Melody are now officially divorced, and Arionne has had her second child, which is a son. And to date, Martel and Arionne are still not in an exclusive relationship after more than 6 years of dating. Why? Well, it just so happens that, men usually cheat with women who make it easier for them to stay married. Okay? A man does not want to destroy his life. He wants to maintain and build on what he has and will engage in activities and behaviors that will facilitate the emotional and mental equilibrium he needs to keep everything together. Okay? In other words, he will do things that will give him the frame of mind and disposition to be able to show up in the world as a man. When men look for side pieces, they usually have absolutely no intention of leaving their wives. A side piece is for maintenance, not disruption. Because if he really wanted to destroy his life, he doesn't need a side piece to do that. Men don't need a side piece to get permission to get divorced. This is one of the reasons why when men have mistresses for years, the only time a divorce happens is when the wife finds out and files for divorce, usually, and that's either when she finds out about the mistress or the mistress gets pregnant, whatever. But it's usually the woman who files or the wife who files, not the husband who's cheating, right? And in some instances, these men will kill their mistresses when they get pregnant, or when they threaten to expose their affair. If you guys remember earlier this year, a boxer named Felix Verdejo, he murdered his mistress of 10 years after she got pregnant because he didn't want his wife to think that he was going to leave her. He wanted to prove to his wife that he was more loyal to her than to the mistress. So he, beat up the mistress, threw her body over the bridge, and then shot at her a few times to make sure she was really dead. And this again was done. This was overkill to prove to the wife, I'm not going anywhere. Even though I have been having sex with this woman since she was 16, and now she's pregnant with my child, I'm still loyal to you, my wife, who I chose to be with. Women need to stop thinking that sex equals love. A man can have sex with you today and kill you tomorrow, okay? So side pieces are usually cool about their initial arrangement because they're satisfied with the little trinkets and the sex and the trips and the monies and the attention they receive without having any responsibilities to or obligations to the husband, right? They can even have a husband or boyfriend of their own. And in their minds, in the side piece's mind, she thinks that she's helping the husband to escape the pain and misery of being married to this monster of a woman, okay? The man is happy because he, gets to keep his money, his family, his reputation. He gets to maintain his legacy, his foundation, everything. And he gets a steady source of attention and narcissistic supply from his wife and the side piece. The side piece doesn't have to cook, clean, maintain a household, or nothing, okay? take care of kids, or anything. So she's a fantasy. And as long as she remains a fantasy, her position as a side piece is safe. The problems begin when the side piece catches feelings over time, right? Because if you're messing with a man for 3, 4, 5, 6 years, you're going to feel something. Okay? So the problem comes when she catches feelings and then she wants to disrupt the perfect arrangement, because then she begins to actively vie for the wife's position. And at this point, the side piece sometimes emotionally blackmails the husband with threats of exposing the relationship. They start having arguments about future plans. She starts to ask, why is the husband still married to the evil woman, even though she knew from the beginning that he was with somebody. And a lot of cases, not always, but a lot of cases, the side piece does know, or she finds out somewhere down the line and she still stays in that same agreement because she thinks, again, she's helping this man. So the mistress does not understand that at that point, the reason why he hasn't left his wife is because he's getting everything that he wants and then some. He has the wife maintaining the home, the kids, the legacy, the reputation, the businesses, the money, the family, whatever. His finances are secure, no child support, no alimony, nothing. And he's getting access to fantasy sex in a fantasy relationship outside of his marriage. He has the best of both worlds. Why would he disrupt that by being with a woman who's ultimately going to end up in the same position as a wife? Not having enough time because there's kids and finances and bills and other things to take care of. It makes no sense. You know, I'm going to bring up Wendy Williams and her ex-husband, Kevin Hunter. Wendy Williams knew that Kevin was cheating for over a decade, but Kevin's never left his wife. He still came home to his wife. Even after he started going on vacations with the mistress, he was still going home to his wife. He had no intention of leaving his wife. Wendy had to pull the trigger, figuratively of course, after she found out the mistress got pregnant, because again, that put them on the same level in the hierarchy, right? And the mistress usually gets pregnant after a while because she's like, well, I spent all these years with this man. I'm doing everything the wife does. I deserve to have wife privileges too. And that means having a baby in some instances. Okay? So yeah, the husband does not leave the wife in most instances because he doesn't have to. He's getting everything he wants. A man is not going to leave his wife because usually the cost of cheating is cheaper than the cost of losing his family and his everything he's built. In other words, the side piece's standards, right, and her price, it's never equivalent to what the man is going to lose. Him spending a couple of dollars here and there on dates and movies and trips and hotel rooms is not equivalent to him losing half of his income, paying alimony, child support, scandal. It's not worth that. So yeah, of course he's going to engage in that because it's cheap. It doesn't cost him anything. Now back to the threatening piece. When the mistress gets her emotions involved, she begins to blackmail the husband, and she starts to imagine herself as the wife. If you guys have noticed, right, whenever Arionne and Martell have a falling out, she threatens to write a tell-all book, or she threatens to show pictures of the baby, or to expose the truth about their affair. And I hope that Arionne can see that Melody threw Martell away. Martell has no choice but to be with Arionne right now, and he still hasn't really made a choice. So when Arionne emotionally blackmails Martell with threats of a tell-all book, this is her way of manipulating him to force him to adhere to whatever expectations and demands that she has on their relationships. You know, the same one that the wife had. But she's too slow to realize that her boyfriend, right, Martell, is putting more energy and effort into his ex-wife now and her business and who his ex-wife is seeing than he is trying to build the foundation with her. Again, the fantasy is now gone because there's a baby involved, there's responsibilities, Martell is broke, and now he's hurt that his ex-wife is dating other men. In other words, in essence, all of the energy Martell spent chasing Arionne is now spent stalking and pining after Melody. As I've mentioned before, Melody left Martell before Love and Marriage Huntsville started, and Martell had carte blanche to be with Arionne. So for me, that was a red flag. The fact that he went back to his wife, because when a man crawls back to his wife after a period of separation, he wasn't single, mind you. He was with someone else. So he had the opportunity to have a relationship outside his marriage. He wasn't lonely. That's not the excuse. He wasn't lonely. He wasn't broke. He wasn't whatever. But he realized that he prefers to be with his wife than his mistress. The only reason why Arionne has not put out this book yet is because it will make both her and Martell look even worse. While, the sympathy and support for Melody will grow, and that's the last thing that she wants, especially as she watches the show from the sidelines. Another point I wanted to make. If married men don't lie about being married, what they'll do is they'll vilify their wives and marriages and their relationship and lie about the current status or state of their marriage. They'll say, oh, we're separated, or oh, we're not having sex, or oh, we're sleeping in separate rooms, or oh, she's cool with me seeing other people. They will lie and say this, right? And Arionne and many other side pieces believed what Martell said about Melody and their marriage because she wanted those things to be true in order to feel special and more desired. Because again, she does not feel that way about herself otherwise. As the relationship with the married man progresses over time, in many cases, the side piece begins to imagine herself as the wife. She begins to mentally and sometimes physically stalk the wife. She starts doing things that she thinks the wife is not doing. She starts to play up the fantasy, which ironically, instead of expediting the divorce, it actually makes the husband feel more secure about maintaining the side piece relationship, because if he's getting everything he wants from both sides without losing anything, why rock the boat? And this is the position that Martell was in. So much so that after 5 years, he wasn't even getting prepared for divorce. Martell was not even taking any actionable steps to secure his life in the event of a divorce that he said he wanted. He didn't make sure his money was right. He didn't get his builder's license. He didn't stash any money away. He did absolutely nothing to indicate that he was ever planning on getting a divorce. And this is how you know he was full of shit and why he's still so upset with Melody, because he really thought she wasn't going to leave no matter what, because he wasn't going to leave no matter what. And he said this multiple times that he wasn't going to leave. But he told the mistress that the reason why he couldn't leave was because of Melody. These men lie all the time. Now, he wasn't going to leave no matter what. Didn't get his paperwork together, didn't get his money together. And this is after 5 years of an affair. He had 5 years to get his license, to get his money together, to do the things that would help to soften the blow of the divorce, right? He would be better prepared. But he didn't do that because he wasn't planning on leaving, okay? So that's why he's also upset. And Arionne doesn't see this. So not only is that irresponsible on his part to continue to cheat and not prepare for divorce, he's stringing Arionne along the whole time. And she can't put 2 and 2 together. If he's planning on getting a divorce, why isn't his paper on point? You were making enough money to build a nest egg so that when you did get a divorce, you would be able to move comfortably to a new position with the mistress. And he still has not done this. This also reveals that Martell is entitled. Another point I wanted to make as far as why Martell has not claimed the side piece yet. And this goes back to my first point about men cheating with women who make it easier to stay married. Arionne cannot elevate Martell's game or even help him maintain his game or build it, which is why he hasn't claimed her. In certain communities, women of a certain caliber who belong to prestigious organizations and sororities are trophies to men of a certain caliber. Arionne did not graduate from nursing school and is nowhere near as intelligent or presentable as Melody in certain professional spaces. He can take her to the barbershop, to the club, he can take her to a restaurant, a hotel even, but he can't take her to a governor's ball. He can't take her to a black tie affair. He can't take her to those types of events. So Arionne is not Martell's best foot forward. Most mistresses aren't. In fact, she is his Achilles heel. She's a walking representation of his weaknesses, his insecurities, his vices and his failures. And that's not to say that Martell can't upgrade Arionne in the future. And I think he's grooming her for that position, right? But the chances are slim as time progresses and Martell begins to rebuild his life. A lot of men want to attach their brand and legacy to a woman with a spotless reputation, because again, she represents him and will be compared to other wives of real high value men, doctors, lawyers, entrepreneurs, and other professionals that can hold their own in any setting. Imagine Arionne at a dinner or an event with women who are pillars of their community, with women who can hold a conversation about any topic, with women who are established and esteemed in their own right. She can't hold a candle to that. And Martell is painfully aware of this. And my final point about this topic for this particular episode, narcissistic side pieces like Arionne feel validated when they put a man in a position to destroy themselves or their partner to maintain their relationship. They feel better, when the wife is in distress and distraught and the husband can't make a choice between the two. It makes them feel like, wow, I'm so valuable. This man is actually willing to lose everything to be with me. And that's not what it is. Again, they have been used to getting both. They can have the wife and the mistress. They're not leaving the wife either. They missed that part. But they want the wife and the mistress because that's what they're used to having, and now they feel entitled to it. Arionne is the kind of person, like Martell, who only understands the magnitude of their actions when the same thing happens to them. Okay? Until then, there is no empathy, no compassion. It's just gloating and arrogance and entitlement and delusion and a blatant disrespect for Melody, which some mistresses have. Not all. Some mistresses have some sense and say, well, I'm effed up. I'm wrong for doing this. Even though I love him, it's not her fault. I'm not going to take it out on her. This is why a lot of women do not like Arionne. It's not because she got lied to and, was used in an affair. Men do that. We are aware of men lying. Men lie all the time. Men lie all the time. That's a part of who they are and how they are groomed and cultivated in society. We get it. We can have sympathy for a young woman who was manipulated and used by a married man. We can understand that. But the problem now is, why are you calling the wife? Why do you have the same smug look on your face as Martell when he's lying about something when it comes to Melody? They have the same what you call duper's delight look, like they're constantly smiling when they're admitting to something that's so fucked up that you're like, what is the problem? What's wrong? Why are you smiling about this situation? Do you seem to be happy and proud that you destroyed a family? I don't understand. So this is why most women are disgusted by Arionne. Not because she was, the side piece. Not only that happens, right? We get it. But the fact that she's so unapologetic about it and so bold and proud about it. And she's still antagonizing the ex-wife. Still doing it to this day. And that's why. So thank you guys for listening to this first episode of Incision on Patreon. Please comment and I will speak to you soon.